Today we're propagating the hydrangea that's directly behind me because it's the one that my grandma planted here about like 20 years ago, such a long time ago, and I want to start new plants for each one of my siblings. I have 3 siblings, so that they can have a piece of my grandma's hydrangea in their yards as well. Now, you always want to propagate more hydrangea than you think you're going to need. For example, at the end of last summer, I did propagate 2. They both rooted, and then this happened. When I planted this one out, the cold frost kind of started, and I think this one just wasn't a strong enough plant while this one flourished. And if you notice, this one actually started growing from a node at the very bottom while the top part kind of died. So if I was looking for a good branch to cut now for a propagation, you definitely want to avoid anything that has a flower on it. And you want to go for something a little bit more like this. What I would do is I would cut probably right about here, and then you want to remove the bottom leaves, and I would probably just leave these 2 leaves up on top. So what you want to do is cut off a few hydrangea branches. As you can see, usually mine are about 6 inches, and place them in water. Usually I try to get them to be about as thick as a pencil when cutting. And all the branches that I cut, notice none of these have flowers. You always want to choose branches to cut with no flowers. Stick them in water, and the roots will start growing out of these nodes here, if you can see. Another thing that I really like to do is cut the leaves in half. You want to try and leave as few leaves as possible. Usually I'll leave like a half of a leaf and then the baby leaf. Cutting the leaf in half like that will make sure that instead of the plant trying to keep the leaves hydrated, it's going to focus its energy on producing roots like this. You can typically expect to see hydrangea roots in, I would say, about 4 to 6 weeks. I read online that it can take like 3 to 4 weeks, but mine typically take a bit longer. I'm not really sure why. I think this one took about like 6 to 8 weeks actually to grow roots. I also have mine sitting in a north facing window. Usually what I like to do is make sure they're in a bright area, but that they're not necessarily getting direct sunlight. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever tried this and if you've had success, and which window in your house you had yours in. Now this next part is super simple. When your hydrangeas grow roots, like this one here, what you want to do is just plant it into some soil. I'm going to go ahead and remove this old root that I'm not really sure what happened, but it either rotted away, or I think really the frost killed it, because I did plant these out really late. So I'm going to just go ahead and pot this up here. And it's super simple. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's always watered, and I am going to definitely leave it in shade. I think there was one year where I made the mistake of putting a brand new propagation in the sun. Do not do that. You definitely want to put it in the shade. Now I'm super curious to see the roots on this hydrangea that I propagated last year. They are definitely coming out from the bottom, so let's go ahead and repot this one. I'm gonna carefully remove it. Wow, you guys, look at the beautiful root system on this one. This is insane. I can't believe that this was just, you know, a piece of the hydrangea that looked like this last summer. I mean, look at the difference. This next hydrangea is also so overdue for being repotted. It's been in here for like 2 years now. I feel so bad. It's probably dying to get out of here. This one's much easier to get out. This one looks like it has a much more delicate root system than the other one. I'm going to try to get some of these roots to not be so root bound. And let's get these into their new pots. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is just make sure you're not propagating anything that is patented. I don't believe that this one is, considering it's been here for a long time. Alright you guys, so it's actually been 1 year since I filmed that initial part of the video, and a lot of the propagations have taken off in their pots. One of them I did come through and plant right here. This is probably one of my happiest hydrangeas, so if I could make just one recommendation, I would say get them out of the pots and into the areas where you want them to grow as soon as possible. This one's the happiest because its roots aren't bound. It probably gets more water than the rest, and it seems to really like this area. It's already branching a little bit here. I have it on the north side of the fence here. Now let's go and I will show you the others. Now for the hydrangeas that we potted together, I definitely haven't had them all year long, but I wanted to move them here just for the sake of continuity for the video. You'll notice that this one here, which is from a different hydrangea, not from my grandma's hydrangea, it's got a little bit of spotting on it. If anybody knows what this is, please let me know in the comments down below. So this year, while it did bloom beautifully, it ended up getting like a little bit of spotting, and it's kind of growing a bit sideways. Maybe I'll have to train it to kind of grow a bit more upwards. This one here is doing super well, and it was really beautiful when it was blooming. So I believe this one is now on its 3rd year. And I pointed out in the video, I wanted to show you here too for continuity. That's the little dead part of the hydrangea, and I think last year I had just one spike. You'll notice I have like several now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So everything is kind of growing from like the base, not necessarily from here. Oh, that part just broke, yikes. Okay, let's not touch it. So this one is doing really beautifully. Now for the others, these here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these, I believe these are what I had in the little vases in the video. And I believe this one is the one that had already rooted in the video that was in the center vase. So you can see this one is 1 year ahead of the rest. So I'm expecting these to look a bit more like that next year. And I've actually been quite bad. You'll notice that a lot of them have like kind of whiter leaves. That's because they've just been getting way too much sun. Notice here these are kind of drying, so you definitely, even though I do have these on the north side of the house, because it's now summer, July, it's like gotten to 100 degrees, it's almost 90 degrees every single day. You definitely want to make sure you're watering well, keeping them out of the sun. What I'm going to do right now is actually move them closer to the north side of the house so that they really aren't getting any sun, just because I think they're a little bit sunburned. And as you could see, these here, like right before the video, the bottom leaves here were dry just because there was a week where I was really busy. And just in general, this past year, life has gotten a lot busier. I haven't had as much time to garden as I would like. So that's the result of it. But luckily, this hydrangea is still holding on, and hopefully I'll be able to get it to be a little bit more beautiful next year. Now, I wasn't going to show you this, but I think it's really important to show our failures too. These are all hydrangeas that just didn't make it. Notice here, these pots are much smaller than these. I would say they're about 1/3 of the size of these. It's interesting how all of these dried out. None of these did. So my recommendation would be, if you are going to use smaller pots, you're going to need to repot probably in a few weeks to a month after potting in here. So it just makes more sense to go ahead and add them to the larger pots right away. So yeah, that is my 1 year update for the hydrangeas. Again, these are a 1 year old. This one here is 2 years old. And these two here are now 3 years old. And I'm definitely getting to a point where they're ready to be gifted. I'm probably gonna start gifting them early next summer when they're just about to bloom, so that when I do give them to my siblings, they're not at the state where they're done blooming and kind of starting to brown. They're going to be at the state where they're fresh and just going into early summer. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more gardening videos. Я тебе цветочки сделала, привезла.
Ой, да это уже не такие цветочки.